let's switch to comedy before we get serious again. Maybe we shouldn't, because even drawing a cartoon about this government's clownish immigration policies is not safe now, as our free speech gets strangled. This government has so far brought in more than 1 million immigrants, and its promises to slash these crazy numbers are proving worthless. Mark Knight of the Herald Sun, one of our greatest cartoonists, did a cartoon about this mess, showing Peter Dutton offering to take over from the struggling Prime Minister to pull up our drawbridge. But oh dear, some anonymous person complained. Look how many of the immigrants are Muslims or brown, and why is Dutton looking like a hero by offering to shut them out? Now, unbelievably, the Australian Press Council took this complaint seriously. It dragged in Mark Knight to be grilled by a panel chaired by Mohammed Al-Rubi, a lawyer who's worked extensively in the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia. And this panel's now found Mark Knight guilty of causing substantial offence and prejudice. Mark Knight interrupted his holiday earlier to join me. Mark Knight, thanks for joining me. Look, who complained about your cartoon?
I don't know, Andrew. It's a mystery complainant. I'm not allowed to know, but they made a complaint to the Australian Press Council, and it was pursued through that. And I stated my case, and they said it should go to adjudication before a panel, which it did. I don't know, a month and a half ago, and they went away and considered our discussion and the panel's assessment, and they came back and found against me for contravening, I think it's General Principle 6. So I have contravened that.
Not General Principle 6, Mark. Oh, my goodness. But I mean, what a country this is. So some anonymous person that no one knows is allowed to make a complaint, and you're dragged before the Press Council. Now, leading your examination, you say, was a nice guy called Mohammed. He's a lawyer who's done a lot of work in places like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Egypt. He knows about tyrannies. He led your examination. What did he want to know?
Well, I think the offence in the cartoon was not that I had sort of sent up Albo and Peter Dutton, because it was a cartoon about, if you're showing it to your viewers, and there it is, about Australia's front door. And you remember we had this massive influx of immigration, over 700,000, up by like 73%, I think was the figure. And so I had drawn Albo and Dutton in their various positions, which was, Albo said he was going to try and, close the drawbridge, but he was taking his time because, high immigration was keeping the economy out of recession. So they were in no real hurry, I think. And then, of course, Peter Dutton came in all hairy-chested and step aside, Albo. I'll close the drawbridge. So it was like sort of a vaudeville send-up of the two leaders. And then I thought I should put a few people coming in just to illustrate the fact that it's about entries into Australia. And so I drew a random bunch of people. Some in ethnic dress, Indian people from the Middle East, people from Africa. As you know, if you live in Melbourne, we have all these great ethnicities now in our town. And the cartoon went to press. What it seems that I have annoyed this person about is, I think, three things. Was the fact that I drew people of colour, people in hijabs and traditional dress. I didn't draw enough Chinese or Indians. There are Indian people in it. If you'll notice, the man in the centre with the suitcase is raising his fist in sort of exultation. Why wouldn't you be excited to be in Australia? And I didn't draw enough Filipino people because apparently they are a leading immigrant ethnicity into Australia. The last thing I did wrong was the mystery accuser said I made Peter Dutton looked like a superhero, which is a crime.
Mark, I do wonder if it was natural for you to, in fact, feature a number of Muslims in this cartoon about politicians slowing immigration. Precisely because there is growing concern about Muslim immigration. I mean, we see that right now in response to the radicalism and intolerance towards Jews, even just yesterday. And I doubt your cartoon would have been as effective had it shown politicians, you know, fighting to keep out British immigrants or Swedish or French or Dutch, God forbid. Did that instinctively go through your mind?
Well, I mean, that cartoon was drawn back in May, and as we have seen since the attacks on Israel, we have seen I guess, an increase in concerns about protests. But when I did draw that cartoon, they were not concerns or issues that I was thinking about at the time. But I think people who are involved in protests and things may have seen the cartoon and felt that that was what I was directing it at. But as I said before, it was. And if you look at everybody in the cartoon, they're entering Australia. They're all very happy. It's a very benign, lovely entry. It's not like, as I said in a story this morning, throwing open the doors to Myer on the Boxing Day sale. It's a very comfortable group of people entering Australia. But yes, in these current times, it could be misconstrued.
Well, look, the fact is, of course, that some people do have those concerns, and now you have been warned, do not express them, Mark Knight, because you might have yet another trip to that press council and be quizzed on exactly how you draw faces. And I mean, it's just so extraordinary. Mark, you're living in a Kafka world now. Good luck negotiating this.
I will keep on sketching, Andrew, and there are a lot of people out there who love to be outraged, and I'm only too happy to oblige them. Thank you.
Mark Knight, thanks for your time.
Cheers, mate.